The Walmart FLW Tour event on Sam Rayburn Reservoir came down to one of the best offshore anglers on tour versus one of the best shallow water anglers on tour. In the beginning, it looked as if Mark Rose would be the dominant force, Carolina rigging offshore points and bare spots in the grass for pre-spawn bass. But in the end, shallow water specialist Bryan Thrift would prevail with a slow and steady wins the race approach on the far north end of the lake.
5 bass. They need to weigh 14 pounds and 1 ounce. Here we go, our crowning moment. Let's make some noise. Looking for 14.15 today, worth 11 pounds, 1 ounce. Your champion is Bryan Thrift, the Chevy Pro, getting it done. Wow!
On behalf of Chevrolet and FLW, I am proud to call you my teammate, buddy. Good job this week. $125,000 richer for the Tour champion and the hardware to go with it. Thank you, Dion.
Bryan, I know you just won this tournament, and you probably think that's what I want to talk about. Actually, I want to talk about Hartwell. 107th place finish at that tournament, 3 fish on the second day. That's the kind of thing that burns a guy like Bryan Thrift up, and redemption is what you get in your head.
Yeah, Hartwell left a bad taste in my mouth. It was just awful. I mean, from practice, the first cast I made in practice to the last cast I made in the tournament, I never figured anything out, and it seemed like every decision I made was the exact opposite of what I should have been doing. But to turn it around here, right after Hartwell, I went to Santee Cooper for Rayovac, finished 3rd, came here, won the tour tournament at Sam Rayburn. So maybe we can right the ship and get back on a good streak of tournament finishes the rest of the year.
A lot of guys would like to know, how do you right that ship? How do you come off of a Hartwell and turn things around mentally? You drive down the road for many hours thinking about it? I mean, what happens in your mind?
Really nothing. I don't know. I think there for a couple of tournaments I forgot how to practice or something. I don't know what was going on. I quit looking at water. It's like I would find an area and I would get comfortable, and I would just kind of go through the motions after that. And then when it would backfire, there I am in 107th place. So I tried to go back to the way I used to practice, just try to look at the whole lake. Doesn't matter if you get bit or not. Look at everything, sample a little bit of everything, and go where you feel like you can do the best.
And that's what you did here. Why did you settle on the upriver portion of this lake?
Because that's where I had the most consistent bites from fish in the 2.5 to 3 pound range. I never caught any big ones up there when I went in practice, and I was convinced I was fishing for a check up there, but that was the best thing I had. I was convinced I was fishing for 13 to 14 pounds a day, and that would get me a check and get my points and get me in contention for the championship. So to come out from up there with a win, I mean, that's nice.
At what point in the tournament did you say to yourself, slow and steady can win this race?
The first morning of the tournament is when I kind of decided on that slow and steady deal, because I'd been catching a lot of fish on moving baits, crankbait, a chatterbait, and I got up there the first morning of the tournament, and 2 hours into it, I hadn't had a bite. And I'm thinking, yeah, something's changed. I mean, something's going on. So I kind of just still fishing fairly fast, but I'm flipping, and my co-anglers catch 1 or 2 behind me. I'm like, all right, idiot, you need to slow down and pick everything apart. The fish are still here. They're just moved up a little shallower, and you've got to slow down and make them bite. And the kind of a light switch went off about 10:30 the first day of the tournament.
Give us the key bait and the weight and line and everything again.
I was throwing 20-pound P-line fluorocarbon with a 5/16 ounce weight, Texas rigged, and throwing a green pumpkin and a June bug to Mickey knockout.
And you didn't have to change that very much all 4 days. That was the main primary bait.
Yeah, that was the primary bait the last couple of days. The first couple of days I caught some flipping another piece of plastic, and I started, once they got real finicky, I picked up that knockout, and there was the deal. I could tell a huge difference in it.
Kyle Wood, one of our writers, said he watched you yesterday and today. Today, he said it looked like you spent a lot more time per tree than yesterday. Yesterday, you covered a lot of water. Today, you power poled down and really picked each tree apart. What's that about?
That was just once I got a limit, I had like 5 3-pounders in the boat, and that calmed me down a lot, and that made me focus and settle down, because there was about 10 particular trees that I'd had my bigger bites on, and I would pole down on those trees, put the power poles down, and I would flip every 2 inches all the way around that tree, and it paid off. I caught another 4-pounder doing that late in the day, and it just worked out.
Does this win here qualify Bryan Thrift as a superstar flipper now?
No, this definitely does not qualify Bryan as a superstar, because I think the reason it took me so long to catch one off of each tree is I would pitch my bait on one side and it would make such a big splash. The fish would swim to the other side of the tree. So I'd have to keep chasing him back and forth around the tree till I made a good cast and caught him.
Mark, this tournament came down to a battle of one of the best shallow water fishermen against one of the best deep water fishermen. It was really cool to watch it unfold all week, because you kept saying, I'm scared I'm going to run out. Thrift kept saying, I think there's more coming to me, and that's exactly, it unfolded just like that.
Yep, you're right. In a nutshell, you just summed it up. I just thought that my deal was, I thought that some of my other 1 and 2 fish places, really just 1 fish places, but I had a GPS full of them, Rob. I had main lake points that I had, there wasn't a school of fish on them, and there wasn't even a lot of big fish on them, but I was getting 1 Carolina rig fish off of them, and for the life of me, I don't know. I guess those fish went to the bank. It wasn't like they had to go shallow, because I was catching them in 3 to 5 foot. So, and I know they spawn on a lot of those hard places on the main lake, but evidently it got a little warmer, and they went in there in the bays and the pockets and stuff like that, and I just lost them. But it was good. It was good while it lasted.
Yeah, I know you always say winning tournaments is about adjustments, and at the end of the day today, you tried to make an adjustment, but you just kind of ran out of time on it.
Yeah, Bill Taylor needs to give us a little bit more time. No, it wasn't Bill's fault. It wasn't anybody else's fault but mine. Thrift was able to catch 17 pounds today. I had to spend 3 or 4 hours trying to catch one of those big ones, and then once you just start, I'm like, do I run all these other waypoints, try to catch 1, 2 maybe? But I've been doing that the second half of the last 2 days and not getting any bites. So I said, I've got to get on the bank and just try something different. And, we didn't have but like an hour to fish, and I went on the bank and caught 1 on a Carolina rig, and then went in a pocket and finally found 2 on the bed and caught both of those, which were my best fish. So just, I needed to do it a little bit earlier, I guess, but I had to go after those big ones.
I understand. Give us real quick, look like a Carolina rig. Give us the artillery on the Carolina rig and the crankbait you were throwing this week.
Yeah, it was a 3/4 ounce weight, just, with a bead, a 4/0 hook. I was using 17-pound Seagar and Vizex fluorocarbon. I was using a 7.3 heavy Kistler Helium 3. I was using a Lew's Tournament Pro 7-to-1 gear ratio. And that rod and that reel really helped me make long casts. I had to stay, and like I said, it was pretty shallow, so I had to stay off of them, and they really helped me make long casts. And other than that, I love a Strike King Rage Lizard. I don't know if anybody's throwing that thing out there, but I have to be, because it's got a different tail action than anything. It's got a harder thumb. It's the part of our Rage lineup, and the legs and the tail have the Rage kicker legs on them, and boy, it's just awesome.